Have you ever wondered if someone was being truthful, but you just couldn't tell for sure? Spotting a liar isn't always easy, but there are certain behaviors and patterns that can reveal the truth, whether it's subtle changes in body language, inconsistencies in their story, or avoiding eye contact. Understanding these signs can help you identify when someone isn't being honest. Throughout this video, we'll guide you through the key indicators and psychological cues to watch out for. By the end, you'll feel more confident in spotting dishonesty and protecting yourself in conversations and relationships. Make sure to stay until the end for invaluable tips that could change the way you interpret interactions forever. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content. Let's get started. Quick to change the subject. When confronted with a probing question or a topic that hits too close to home, liars are often quick to deflect. Instead of engaging directly, they promptly shift the focus elsewhere, leaving you spinning in a cloud of unrelated details. Imagine asking someone about their whereabouts and moments later they're recalling a random memory about childhood vacations, or asking your opinion on Netflix shows. While this tactic may seem harmless or even subtle at first glance, it's one of the clearest indications that something deeper is being avoided. The act of changing the subject is not just about discomfort, it's about control. Liars seek to remove attention from the topic that exposes their deceit. By redirecting the flow of the conversation, they attempt to manipulate the narrative, hoping you won't notice the gaps in their story. This behavior isn't accidental, it's a calculated strategy to escape accountability while leaving you questioning yourself. It's psychological warfare wrapped in casual conversation. Why does this matter so much? Because it erodes the foundation of trust. Trust is built on clear, honest communication, no matter the difficulty of the subject. If someone consistently changes the subject when faced with direct questions, they signal a deeper issue beyond that specific interaction. It suggests a reluctance to engage authentically, which can lead to frustration, doubt, and emotional distance in relation. Lies thrive in the shadows they create, and deflecting the subject allows the liar to operate undetected, avoiding tough questions while controlling the narrative. How should you respond to such tactics? The key is to remain calm but firm. Do not allow the shift in focus to deter you. Redirect the conversation back to where it started with a polite yet firm acknowledgement. For example, if they try to steer the topic away, say, "That's an interesting point, but I really need clarity on insert original topic." This signals that you won't be thrown off by distractions and that transparency is non-negotiable. It also empowers you to set the tone for clear communication, sending a message that honesty is expected and valued. Changing the subject may seem minor, but it's a bright red flag waving in plain sight. Recognize it for what it is, a sign of avoidance, and address it head-on to maintain truth and authenticity in your relationships. 2. Listen to understand, not just to respond. One of the clearest indicators that someone might be lying is found in the way they communicate when faced with probing questions. Often, people who are not being truthful rely on rapid responses or overly elaborative explanations to steer the conversation in a direction that benefits them. This is where your role as an attentive listener becomes crucial. Listening to understand rather than just to respond can unearth subtleties in their speech, tone, and body language that might otherwise be missed. When people lie, their stories are often riddled with inconsistencies or unnecessary details meant to make their fabrications seem more believable. By actively listening, you can analyze the patterns in their responses, identify what feels unnatural or forced, and pay attention to what they are truly communicating beneath their words. For instance, you may notice a change in their tone of voice, a tendency to over-explain simple situations, or avoid direct answers altogether. These are signs of emotional stress or fear of being caught, which can be amplified in their attempt to craft a perfect response. Listening to understand also means being fully present in the moment. It's not just about hearing their words, it's about observing how they behave while speaking. Are they avoiding eye contact? Are their gestures out of sync with their words? A person with nothing to hide will typically show fluid consistency between their verbal and non-verbal communication. However, a liar may exhibit mismatched signals. A confident tone but fidgety hands, for example. Effective listening allows you to zero in on these contradictions and form a more accurate picture of what's really happening. Why does this matter? People want to be heard and understood, especially when the truth is at stake. When you listen closely and ask insightful follow-up questions, it becomes far more challenging for someone who is lying to maintain their fabricated story. Missteps in their narrative become apparent, and their own words may inadvertently expose them. Conversely, if your only goal is to jump in with a quick reply, you might miss these critical indicators and allow the lie to go unnoticed. To put this into practice, focus on slowing the pace of the conversation. Allow pauses, uncomfortable silences even, to provide space for the truth, or lack thereof, to reveal itself. Ask clarifying questions without appearing accusatory, such as, "Can you elaborate on that?" or "What happened next?" This approach can put subtle pressure on the liar to continue weaving their tale, increasing the chances they slip up or reveal the cracks in their story. Ultimately, listening with purpose is one of the most powerful tools at your disposal when deciphering truth from deception. It not only helps you uncover the truth, but also showcases empathy and attentiveness, paving the way toward meaningful, authentic communication. 3 Poch, stories and details. We've all encountered someone whose story feels too perfect, like it's ripped straight from a Hollywood script. Every detail is vivid, every moment lines up perfectly, and there's just enough drama to hook you in. At first glance, you might be captivated by their ability to recall specific times, dialogue, or even gestures. But stop for a moment and ask yourself, is life really that flawless? The truth is, reality is messy, unpredictable, and often imperfect. When a story lacks that raw, unpolished authenticity, it's possible you're dealing with someone who has carefully crafted a tale, not lived it. Over-polished stories are often a sign that the narrator is hiding something or trying to manipulate your perception. They put effort into engineering a narrative that sounds impressive rather than genuine because their priority isn't honesty, it's control. These polished tales are usually riddled with red flags, like rehearsed details that don't quite fit natural memory or coincidences that feel too good to be true. The more polished a story, the more likely it is to crack under scrutiny. Why does this matter? Because we tend to trust people who can paint a clear picture of events. When they come across as confident in their recollection, it makes us believe them more. But liars use this instinct against us. They know that a captivating story will distract us from our gut instincts. That's why learning to spot overly polished details can keep you from falling for their facade. When you suspect someone's story is too polished, it's time to press the pause button. Don't take it at face value. Instead, dig deeper. Start by asking precise follow-up questions, ones that challenge the details they've presented. For instance, what happened next? Or how did you feel at that exact moment? Real memories tend to flow naturally. They accommodate nuance and handle complexity. A fabricated story, on the other hand, often reveals inconsistencies or gaps when forced out of its rehearsed boundaries. Remember, truth is resilient. It can withstand scrutiny no matter how much you poke or prod. Lies, no matter how carefully packaged, crumble under pressure. Trust your instincts when a story feels too good to be true. It's likely hiding something beneath its glossy surface. 4. Awkward body language. One of the telltale signs that someone might be lying is awkward or unnatural body language. The human body tends to communicate emotional truths more effectively than words. When someone is dishonest, they often struggle to maintain natural, relaxed movements. Their discomfort can manifest in fidgeting, exaggerated gestures, or even freezing up entirely. These behaviours stem from the internal conflict between their fabricated story and their instinctive responses. The result? A mismatch between what they are saying and how their body is reacting. Pay close attention to movements that seem forced or overly deliberate. For instance, someone may intentionally avoid touching their face because they've learnt it's a common giveaway of deception. Yet in doing so, their hands seem rigid or unnatural. On the flip side, excessive fidgeting or constant adjustments, tapping fingers, shifting in their seat, or playing with objects could reveal their struggle to mask inattention. Their body betrays their effort to craft a convincing lie, adding a layer of awkwardness to their demeanour. Another key indicator lies in their posture. People who are anxious or uncomfortable may try to make themselves physically smaller, hunching their shoulders or pulling away. Similarly, sudden jerky movements or unnecessary repositioning may indicate an underlying attempt to escape the discomfort of the conversation. These gestures create dissonance, making their body language inconsistent or even erratic when compared to their words. Why does this matter? Spotting awkward body language is crucial because it serves as a red flag that something beneath the surface is not aligning. Unlike spoken words, body language often happens subconsciously, making it harder to control. This is why it can act as a powerful signal of dishonesty. When someone's physical cues feel disjointed from the confidence their words are trying to portray, it's a signal for you to look deeper. How should you respond? First, remain calm and composed, as pushing someone too harshly might make them retreat further. Instead, gently steer the conversation with questions that encourage elaboration. Their difficulty maintaining consistency in movement and expression may become more apparent as they try to sustain the lie. Use this as an opportunity to foster transparency, allowing their body language to guide your intuition about the truth. Remember, reading awkward body language isn't about quick accusations, it's about noticing the subtle discomfort that reveals a deeper story. Laughing off serious topics. Laughter is often associated with joy, connection, or moments of lightheartedness, but when it's used to dodge serious discussions, it can signify something far more concerning: dishonesty. Imagine opening up about a deeply troubling issue or questioning inconsistencies in someone's story, only to be met with laughter or jokes that derail the conversation. This tactic isn't innocent, it's often a deliberate strategy to steer the focus away from uncomfortable truths and maintain control over a narrative. When someone laughs off serious topics, it's a red flag that screams avoidance. This isn't the playful giggle of someone feeling nervous, it's a mechanism to dismiss accountability or shift the emotional weight of the situation onto you. Laughter used in this way can be incredibly invalidating, leaving you feeling unsupported or even foolish for bringing up genuine concerns. It's a form of manipulation that can make you second-guess your instincts, allowing the deceiver to escape scrutiny. This behavior often points to a fear of vulnerability. Honest conversations require courage and sincerity, traits that liars actively avoid. Instead of facing difficult questions or admitting mistakes, they attempt to hide behind a veneer of humor, hoping to deflect the seriousness of the moment. For the person on the receiving end of this tactic, it can be confusing and emotionally draining. You may wonder if you're being too sensitive, overreacting, or failing to grasp the supposed joke. But make no mistake, your feelings are valid, especially when someone's laughter dampens your ability to seek clarity or resolution. To respond effectively, it's crucial to maintain your composure while firmly shifting the focus back to the topic at hand. Questions like, "Why are you laughing?" or "What is funny about this situation?" can disarm their frivolous approach and assert your intent for a meaningful dialogue. By addressing their deflection directly, you position yourself as someone who values honesty and doesn't shy away from uncovering the truth. Ultimately, laughing off serious topics is more than just a gesture. It speaks volumes about someone's character and intentions. It's a signal to dig deeper, trust your judgment, and refuse to settle for dismissive tactics that undermine your quest for clarity and trust. 6. Vagueness when pressed for specifics. When someone is lying, they often rely on vagueness as their defense mechanism. It's an evasive strategy to keep from getting caught in their own web of deception. A liar usually avoids offering details because more specifics mean more opportunities for their story to unravel. If you ask them direct questions requiring explanations, such as, "When exactly did this happen?" or "Who else was involved?" they may fumble, change the subject, or reiterate non-specific answers in an attempt to skate by without scrutiny. Vagueness in communication often raises red flags. Honest individuals tend to provide clear and detailed responses when asked for specifics, especially when they have nothing to hide. Their confidence is rooted in the truth they're telling, so their answers come naturally, without hesitation. A liar, on the other hand, may feel exposed by detail-oriented questions and react defensively or even aggressively. Their lack of specifics isn't just inconvenient, it's often a protective shield to avoid conflicting with previously told falsehoods. Pay attention to the language they use. Phrases like, "You wouldn't understand," "It's complicated," or "I don't remember the exact details, but," are common tools of deflection. They may also talk in circles or provide overly generalized statements to steal your focus away from what you're really asking. This lack of directness is an intentional act, a smokescreen to protect their version of reality. The more someone hesitates or becomes vague under pressure, the more likely it is that their story isn't as truthful as they'd like you to believe. Why does this matter? Vagueness, when pressed for specifics, is a sign of inconsistency, a hallmark of dishonesty. Transparent communication doesn't leave room for blurred lines or ambiguity. Truth thrives on clarity. If someone is genuinely telling the truth, they'll have little problem providing detailed explanations, even for complex situations. They'll engage with your questions because they want to ensure you clearly understand their perspective. And to address vagueness, approach the conversation with poise but persistence. Use gentle prompts like, "That's interesting, could you explain that in more detail?" Or, "I'd like to hear more about how that happened, can you walk me through it?" These probing questions encourage honesty and can either expose the truth or push the dishonest party to reveal their uncertainty. Vagueness may feel familiar to a liar, but persistence paired with tact shines a spotlight they can't escape. 7. Defensiveness over small matters. It can be startling when someone reacts defensively to your casual, low-stakes questions. Imagine you ask a simple question like, "Did you get a chance to call them back?" And instead of an easy yes or no, you're met with a sharp, almost combative response such as, "Why are you always on my case? I already told you I was busy." This type of overreaction is not just a personality quirk. It's often a bright red flag indicating dishonesty or guilt bubbling beneath the surface. People who are honest and secure in their actions typically have no trouble answering basic questions in a calm and straightforward manner. However, someone attempting to hide a lie or obscure the truth may treat even mundane inquiries as attacks on their credibility. Why? Lies create an undercurrent of anxiety. The liar feels vulnerable, knowing their fabricated story could be challenged at any moment. Even harmless questions can trigger a defensive reflex as they try to protect themselves or keep their cover intact. This defensiveness can also serve as a smokescreen, a way to scare you off from probing further. By escalating their reaction, they hope to make you uncomfortable enough to drop the subject entirely. It's a tactic designed to protect their falsehoods while keeping you at an emotional distance. But their reaction often reveals more than it conceals. Consistent defensiveness, especially over seemingly unimportant matters, hints at insecurity and an internal struggle with honesty. How should you respond? The key is to remain calm and resist feeding into their defensive energy. Don't escalate the situation by pointing fingers or accusing them outright. Instead, take a step back and assess the situation as a whole. Ask yourself, is this a recurring pattern? Are they disproportionately defensive over minor things? These could be signs of a broader issue. Pay attention to their behavior over time. If they frequently deflect or act offended at benign questions, there's a strong chance they are trying to keep something hidden. Defensiveness over trivial matters is not just a reaction, it's a revelation. It unveils the tension and guilt that lies beneath the surface when deception is present. By staying composed and observant, you'll better uncover the truth hiding behind their fragile defense.